Welcome back. I'm Dr. David Hastings, as you know, Dean of Habitology University and host for this 11th 23 Secret Keys to Way Better Your Life. Dr. David Talks WayBetternar. As indicated in the previous 10th WayBetternar, this WayBetternar's 23 Keys Relating 401 presents a relationship decagon, which dramatically propels not only understanding relationship complexities, but also the means to relationships' awesome enhancement. Even though the relationship decagon exposes couple relationship interactions, it is also applicable for all relationships, even the relationship with yourself. The relationship decagon describes interactions not only between a couple, but also the shifting dynamics each brings to the relationship. Key is that each partner brings two personality belief assemblies or belief sets to a relationship. Their private self construct set, and their public self construct set. Now, private self is earmarked by one's hidden, or at least not openly or easily shared wants, hopes, dreams, sense of worth or worthiness, and so forth. Mostly because one thinks them odd and unacceptable. Public self, on the other hand, is rigorously honed, maintained, and practiced personality facades, or facades, whichever you like, that in applicable situations, one is comfortable to present as one's identity or personality. To a greater or lesser extent, all house both a private self and a public self. In other words, everyone has many public self behavioral ranges, or as Habitology calls them, situational personalities. For instance, one's behavioral ranges are different with a significant other than with same-gender friends on a Las Vegas trip, than at a stag, than in a boardroom, than in a career interview, or while stuck in a dark elevator, and so on. It seems actually to me that excellent actors, without much limitation, are able to tap into and vary their situational personalities fairly much at will. The relationship decagon is offered as a means for couples to understand both why relationships are complex and how to mutually strive to excel intimacy through integration of private self and public self belief sets for each partner. Note that the him and her and derivatives employed in the relationship decagon descriptions are for clarity only and are in no way intended to exclude alternate love relationships. In our view, living is optimal wherever consistent love, caring, and respect exist. As this discussion is couple-oriented, the discussion relationship facets are divided into 5 sets of 2. 5 sets of 2. The first set of 2 facets encompass each partner's private self relationship, or how they think of themselves. In other words, his private self beliefs regarding himself and her private self beliefs about herself. Now, the second set of 2 facets encompass each partner's view regarding their own public self-value, or their beliefs about their external world value. In other words, his public self-beliefs regarding his worth and her public self-beliefs about her worth. The third set of 2 facets involves beliefs about the other's private self. His beliefs regarding what is driving her private self, or what is involved in her private self, what's she hiding, and her beliefs regarding what is driving his private self, or what is he hiding. The fourth set of two facets involve beliefs about the other's public self situational personalities. In other words, his beliefs regarding her public self representations and her beliefs regarding his public self representations. The fifth set of two, making up the Decagon, are two facets that involve how each views their effectiveness as a couple. In other words, his beliefs regarding their value as a couple and her beliefs regarding their value as a couple. When one's private self and public self, importantly, this is important because once those are in close alignment, one is happiest. When divergent, one is most unhappy. For instance, when one's private self desires freedom while public self is drudging through an unfulfilling workday, one is probably discontent and unhappy. However, when one's private self desires freedom and fulfillment and one's public self workday is filled with new experiences and excitement, one is probably joyful and happy. The relationship Decagon model above can be clarified by integrating the lobster fork relationship model. Lobster fork relationship model. Why a lobster fork? Well, as a lobster fork has two tines or prongs that are supported by a common handle, the model suggests each individual as a tine and the couple interrelationship as the handle. Now, the lobster fork relationship model is useful. It's useful because it clearly depicts two independent people, the tines, or prongs if you like, who have come together by choice not to give up their individual identities, but to be stronger due to their joining, the handle. Differences are maintained while couple pro-habit strengths are created. By definition, couples are two people who have come together with sufficient passion and interest in one another's living style to form a group of two. Communication is not about looking across the void between the two tines and assuming you understand the other's motivations, desires, and so forth, but is affected in the handle where both desire to be strong and secure together through communication. In other words, two tines symbolize two people, the integrated base or handle, their agreed couple overlap. Now, overlap is defined as those aspects that have been mutually decided without reservation as acceptable by both individuals, even though an individual, if still single, might have exercised a different conclusion. Overlaps are many in cooperative relationships. They span from furniture choices to decor, to cleanliness, to friends, to body type, to fitness level, and so on and so forth. When we meet someone, we are comforted by their similarities, but excited about their differences. Therefore, at the start of an intimate relationship, one explores and, more importantly, celebrates and participates in each other's differences. Maybe hiking or sailing or biking or movie types or foods or walks on the beach, etc., and revel in similarities that sustain comfort. Unfortunately, as couple relationships become more familiar to each partner, chaos habits such as control, disregard, and impatience can come to roost between the tines. When these and other chaos habits manifest, they may not only obliterate a clear view of the other's intentions and desires, but also grow so large that the pressure begins to crack and tear the handle apart. So, what can be done to avoid damaging the handle? Firstly, be aware that individual chaos habits exist. Secondly, just because you both formed a group where each is genuinely attempting to create mutual loving and caring pro-habits does not mean that individual chaos habits will just go away. That is not the thing that habits do. What needs to be accomplished is to grow the action potential of newly forming group pro-habits. such as loving, respect, courtesy, benefit of the doubt, kindness, no blaming, and the like. So pro habits mostly become the go-to habits. Passionate diligence and practice are, of course, keys to successfully aspiring new individual and group couple pro habits to the go-to status. Why passion, practice, and diligence? Well, because those are pivotal to quickly scooping adequate current new from your bombardment sphere to sufficiently populate the pro habit data archives so you can both get what you truly want. Do not try to fake it though, because avoidance of passionate and committed doing will not work. This is because your sensory scoop will simply be too small to provide sufficient current new to create go-to pro habits powerful enough to usurp well-established detrimental chaos habits. The resistance chaos habit also is a problem because it will try to keep you in place for sure. They will summon all sorts of chatterbox comrades such as denial, chagrin, rejection, anger, dismissal. Do not let those old chaos habits outdo and undo you though. Instead, stay the course, and guaranteed is communications, which seemed hard at first, will become easy. This is, after all, the habit gift. Thirdly, celebrate, inspire, and be respectful of your partner's differences. Not only will acceptances and be appreciated by your partner, but also acceptance will populate each person's self-esteem pro habit and thus begin disengagement of detrimental nemesis, the self-doubt chaos habit. In other words, you will both feel better about yourselves as well as the other once that self-doubt is diminished. Keep in mind, broader perspectives equal better choosing, and better choosing dramatically propels both of you onto the path to getting what you truly want. In the next several WayBetternars, we will be covering what is attraction, how does one choose their partner, and much, much more. Your feedback is always appreciated, as you know, so you simply interact by sending an email to drdavidtalks.wbyl@gmail.com with the reference ID in the subject line, and this reference ID for this WayBetternar is capital S01 : capital M03 : capital T04 : Until the next WayBetternar, stay safe. Thank you for your time, and as always, always much appreciated.